Hey, what's going on guys and students of the Force, and welcome back to the channel. Episode 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi is the best episode of the series thus far, and does a ton to develop characters like the third sister, Obi-Wan, and takes a deep dive into the relationship between Obi-Wan and his fallen apprentice, Anakin, now Darth Vader. Spoilers lie ahead in this video for Obi-Wan Episode 5. One of the most interesting and compelling aspects of Episode 5 was the duel or the sparring session between Obi-Wan and a Padawan Anakin. In a lot of the conversation about the episode, I saw some people discussing on Twitter how exactly Anakin managed to defeat Obi-Wan at such a young age, and why later on in their life, Obi-Wan was actually able to defeat Anakin on Mustafar, and at this point in time, which of the two Jedi are more powerful, and which of the two of them are more developed. Upon thinking about this scene extensively, and looking at where these two Jedi are in their respective lives and developments in the Force, I have a very compelling answer for you that explains exactly why Anakin at this point in time is in fact more powerful than Obi-Wan, why Obi-Wan loses this sparring session and this mock duel with Anakin, as well as a lot of the progression that the two characters will undergo in the coming years. The most important aspect and facet of this duel to break down is again where these two combatants are in their lives. This duel takes place before the events of Attack of the Clones, most likely just before the events of Attack of the Clones, and the Clone Wars has yet to break out across the stars. Anakin Skywalker still has both of his hands, as well as the lightsaber that he wielded during Attack of the Clones that will be eventually destroyed in the droid facility. It's also important to note that at this point in time, Obi-Wan himself is not a master yet, as Obi-Wan was knighted a Jedi Master after the Clone Wars broke out in 22 BBY, meaning that the two characters have a lot of progression to undergo in the very near future, and it is the Clone Wars itself that will define these two as the Jedi that they will become. One of the major reasons Anakin is actually able to defeat Obi-Wan here is because of the simple fact that he is a better lightsaber duelist than Obi-Wan is, and likely is a better lightsaber duelist from around this point until the end of their lives. It's an important note to realize that even on Mustafar, Anakin Skywalker is a far better and far superior duelist to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Obi-Wan does not defeat Anakin by being the better duelist, but by being the more intelligent combatant. But back to the duel that we see in Episode 5. At this point in time, Anakin is a Form 4 specialist who is just beginning to tap into his use of Form 5. That is why he is so aggressive, as I believe Anakin is just now beginning to embrace the ferocity of Form 5 and the power strikes, knowing that he needs to overcome the defenses of Obi-Wan, the defenses of Obi-Wan that are likely not as refined as they will become over the course of the Clone Wars. This Obi-Wan that we see is a far cry from the Jedi General that we see face General Grievous and Dooku later on in the war. His defenses are not yet impenetrable. This is not the Obi-Wan that we encounter in Revenge of the Sith, and for a full breakdown of Obi-Wan's chosen lightsaber form in the Master of Defense, we did make a video about it on the channel already. Anakin, though, is far more progressed in his own lightsaber form than Obi-Wan is at this point. In a comic around this same era, Anakin even states that he believes that he could defeat Yoda in a single lightsaber duel. And while this is an extremely arrogant comment, and it is true that Anakin at this point in time very much could not defeat Grandmaster Yoda or the likes of Mace Windu or Dooku, Anakin Skywalker is still on the lightsaber dueling prowess of a Jedi Master during this time, and could even likely defeat council members in single combat in a pure lightsaber duel. Anakin focused on his lightsaber technique at the Jedi Temple, much to the chagrin of Obi-Wan Kenobi, who believed that he should focus more on the aspects of the Force than his skill with the blade, something that we see on display here. Though, we should not take away that Anakin at this point in time is likely one of the greatest lightsaber duelists alive, only rivaled by other prodigies and masters of the Council. It is clear to me that in this episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin is likely experimenting with his use of Form 5, as he comes off against his Jedi Master extremely aggressively and appears to be using only power strikes. Obi-Wan defeats Anakin because he's stronger and simply a better lightsaber duelist at this period of time. But this leads us directly into Attack of the Clones, and one of the single greatest moments and most significant moments in Anakin's life. It's important to note that in the climactic duel with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Count Dooku, Anakin actually actively performs better than Dooku, and it is stated in the Attack of the Clones novelization that Dooku perceives Anakin as a greater threat than Obi-Wan Kenobi, but only after they engage in one-on-one combat, as it becomes clear clear to the Count that although Dooku is still massively more gifted with the blade than Anakin is at this point in time, Dooku is noticeably shocked how much more proficient and powerful Anakin is with his lightsaber than Obi-Wan Kenobi. And Anakin will only grow more powerful over the course of the Clone Wars, eventually growing to the point where he can defeat Dooku, mastering the form that we see him practicing in this episode of Obi-Wan. However, it should not be understated that while the Clone Wars developed Anakin as an extremely proficient and dangerous lightsaber duelist, it also simultaneously did the same for Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan during the course of the Clone Wars had to confront his greatest threats in the returned Sith Lord Darth Maul, as well as duel General Grievous on multiple occasions, and just as Dooku shaped Anakin into the lightsaber wielder he would become as Vader, so did Maul, Dooku, and General Grievous do the same for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And while Anakin was learning to smash through Dooku's use of Form 2 Makashi, Obi-Wan was forced to overcome the barrage of General Grievous and Maul, two of the most aggressive lightsaber duelists in the entirety of the Star Wars lore. In some ways, Anakin loses to Dooku in Attack of the Clones the very same way that he would later go on to lose against Obi-Wan. Only during Attack of the Clones, Anakin attempted to meet skill with skill, which at the time, Dooku was a more skilled lightsaber user, and he was far more experienced than the young Anakin. And therefore, although Anakin performed exceptionally well, he was not as skilled as Dooku was yet. The difference though, and the reason that Anakin lost to Obi-Wan Kenobi, is that Obi-Wan did not attempt to meet skill with skill in their duel on Mustafar. Obi-Wan full well knew, likely thinking back to sparring sessions such as this with Anakin, that Anakin was the better lightsaber duelist, that he was more powerful than Obi-Wan, and that he dwarfed his own potential in the Force. And therefore, Obi-Wan did what all masters of Form 3 of Sarisu do, or at least the greatest masters. They fell back on their defense and waited for Anakin to make a mistake. All Obi-Wan had to do, and all Obi-Wan focused on, was survival. And although Anakin did not fatigue as many lightsaber wielders would, he did grow so arrogant in fact, that he attempted a maneuver that Obi-Wan capitalized on, and parted him with the remainder of his limbs. What's so interesting though about the duel that we see in episode 5 of Obi-Wan is that Anakin is in fact the more gifted lightsaber duelist at this point in time, and Obi-Wan knows it. The point of the sparring session though isn't to progress Anakin's skill with the blade. This is something that Anakin on his own already focuses on. It's to teach Anakin about the viewpoint of the Jedi and the greater mysteries and purpose of a Jedi, something that we know Anakin will continue to neglect in the pursuit of his own skill with the lightsaber blade. A lot of time I see fans talk about the fact that Anakin lost to Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar and don't necessarily highlight just how crazy powerful Anakin is, and at the same time just how crazy lucky Obi-Wan had to be. And I really appreciate that in canon and in Obi-Wan Kenobi, episode 5 truly illustrated this, and illustrated that even as a young Jedi Padawan, the gap between Anakin and Obi-Wan was widening. I by no means am saying that Obi-Wan is a punk, but what I am saying is that Anakin had the potential to be the greatest Force wielder of all time, and was definitely one of the greatest lightsaber duelists ever, not to mention that Darth Vader may be the single greatest lightsaber duelist ever. But anyway, my friends and students of the Force, what are your thoughts on this? And if you want a full breakdown of Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber form, if we can get this video to 5,000 likes, I will release a video detailing his full lightsaber form and his evolution from Form 4 to 5 this week. But as always, students of the Force, thanks again for watching, and may the Force be with you.